Decepticons, rise up! Hello there, Transformers fans, and welcome back to another cool toy review. And today's review is sponsored by our good friends over at Hasbro and Paramount, who sent us that Transformers 1 promotional mail-away box that had all kinds of awesome, cool Transformers toys and goodies in it, including the new Transformers Studio Series number 114, Deluxe Megatron from Transformers 1. And this is a figure that I have been looking forward to from the second that Transformers 1 got announced, because anytime there's a new piece of Transformers media, I'm always looking forward to two things first and foremost: the new Optimus Prime and the new Megatron. And when they showed him off at SDCC, and I got to see it in person in the case, and it looked so cool, I was so very excited to pick this guy up in hand, and I'm so glad that he is here so soon with Optimus, just in time for Transformers 1. And he looks great. He looks so cool. You got some awesome artwork of Megatron from the movie there in the packaging. Open window right there. Close-up of his face. Which is pretty good looking close-up. A close-up of the character, but not as close-up, like with his face. And on the back, you've got some words and things, and him in his robot mode, his tank mode with the backdrop. And that's pretty much it for the packaging. And here is Megatron out of the packaging and on his Studio Series backdrop, as you can see. Pretty much the same one. I think that just came with the Optimus Prime that we got. And I really like this take on Megatron. It was characterized very well. He was performed very awesomely by Brian Tyler Ree. And it's just really awesome. Now, this particular take on Megatron, much like the Studio Series Optimus we got, and this is a minor spoiler, this is the final look he has in the main film. And this is the last look he has when he gets his body upgraded for, the last time that we see it in the movie. And I feel like they captured it very, very well. And I didn't really mention this so much with the colorization of the Optimus, but with the Megatron especially, I kind of wish that they went with the metallic color that they went with for his face here on the entirety of the body, because I really like how shiny and metallic they look on screen, and I just don't feel like they captured that as well in the Studio Series with the more matte colors that they went with here. But that aside, again, the look of this guy is very screen accurate, especially compared to the last time we see him before the credits, with one exception, and that is his fusion cannon that the figure comes with. While this is a movie accurate fusion cannon, this fusion cannon is the one he has earlier in the film prior to this look right here. His fusion cannon changes and is that tri-barreled one that we see in the trailer there. And that's the fusion cannon he should have for this particular figure. Now, I'm not going to complain too much, because in my own personal opinion, I like this one, the G1 looking one, more than the tri-barrel one that he has. I mean, the tri-barrel one's cool, but the fusion cannon in of itself is already really cool, so I don't really feel like it was a design that needed to be upgraded, especially so soon. So there's also that. That's just a minor gripe about the movie, which is still very awesome. That's just me being nitpicky. The movie is really, really awesome. If you haven't seen it, go see it. It's so good. Anyway, this figure is very articulated. Head is on a ball joint. Shoulders are on a ball joint. Swivel up at the top of the elbow, double jointed elbows, mostly due to transformation, wrist swivel, and his hands are kind of interesting here, because on the back of his hands he's got these treads. Now, he doesn't have that in the movie. The back of his hands are not treads in the movie. It's just a regular hand, but there is the fingers, there's the thumb, but it's interesting how his hand becomes his tread for tank mode. There's his fusion cannon. He does have a secondary blaster on this arm. Now, it doesn't quite look like this, but this was a really creative way to deal with the tank barrel, and you can kind of get closer to that tri-barrel cannon that he has at the end if you just simply add this tip to it. It just makes his fusion cannon kind of long looking in a silly way, and while it has the kind of outer muzzle more resemblant to that tri-barrel cannon, it's still, once you look at the face of it, doesn't look quite right. But I do like how they made it not only a removable part because of the way he transforms, which we'll see in a moment, but also peg onto his opposite hand to become the smaller blaster that he also has in the movie. And then you have these extra guns right here, which you can swap out and replace the other one with. There we go. And this is actually a much more accurate representation of that secondary blaster that he has on his left arm in the movie. And then his backpack actually looks pretty screen accurate from the moment he gets his transformation cog in the movie. Legs are also pretty accurate, and there's a really cool thing that you can do with his leg, and this is also a minor spoiler the way I'm going to convert it, but we'll go ahead and partially convert this one leg because this is something he does actually a couple of times in the movie, where when he's first learning to transform, he accidentally partially transforms his right leg and then he's limping on it, which is really funny. And then later in a fight, he does it again, but to use as a bludgeoning weapon to kick his opponent off of him, which I thought was really cool and creative. How in this movie we were seeing them so creatively using their bodies as they changed, which awesome. Really awesome action. And real quick for comparison before transformation, since we mentioned him a few times, here is Studio Series Megatron next to the Studio Series Optimus Prime from Transformers 1. Both of them look pretty awesome side by side, and they're sized very well by how they face off against each other towards the end. Again, a minor spoiler, but if you've seen it, you've seen it, and if you haven't, well, I mean, you got to know it's coming, right? And also for comparison, even though the jury is still out, is it a prequel? Isn't it a prequel? Well, some people are saying it is. Some people are saying it isn't. Whichever you decide, here he is next to the Studio Series concept Megatron from Bumblebee. So maybe he upgrades into this, maybe he doesn't. Who knows? Only time will tell whether Transformers 1 remains its own thing, which honestly is totally fine because it's really great and I would love to see where it goes from here unrestricted, or it becomes a prequel to the Bumblebee portion of the timeline of the movie continuity. And regardless of which is which, these two Megatron designs are both, in my opinion, really cool Megatron designs. Transformation is pretty simple on this Megatron. We're going to start by removing this and removing this. We're actually going to leave these where they are, and then we're going to rotate that arm all the way around and bring this up. This is going to peg into the back of that arm right there. Just adjust that double hinge, and I almost forgot, turn that wrist as well so it looks like a tank tread facing out like so. Do the same thing over here, rotate that around, rotate that around, fold that up, clip that into place, and there is that. Next, what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and do the legs. Split the thighs, bring that thigh down on that side hinge joint, do the same thing with the other one, rotate on that thigh joint the legs from the knee down all the way around, unclip the back of these leg panels, straighten out these ankles, pull these treads down a little bit, rotate those around, rotate that around, and then just bring this down. That little piece is just going to clip into the top of what was the foot. Same thing right there. And we are just about done. Next, we're going to pull open his chest and bring that all the way down. There's a couple of tab sections right there on the side with a couple of tabs on those inner thighs. Just tab that in. That's pretty much going to be the front of the tank. And then bring that backpack section up just a little. Rotate the head all the way around because this is going to fit over that tab on the inside of what was the chest. Bring that down, tab that in, and then untab this whole section off of the back there. That's going to flip up, and as you do that, rotate these shoulder sections. There is a tab slot there and a tab right there under the kneecap. There we go. Just feel it slip into place and it will secure that whole side section, which looks kind of neat. And then we're going to rotate his backpack, which is removable, but you don't have to parts form it to get it into place. You can remove it, which is pretty cool. Rotate those other cannons forward. Take this fusion cannon. There's a little slot right there. There's a little tab right there. This is gonna peg in right there like so. And then take the front of the tank barrel, plug that into the fusion cannon, elongating that tank barrel much more. And there you have him in his tank mode. And yeah, very screen accurate tank mode for pretty much the entirety of the movie. Actually, his tank mode doesn't really change much aesthetically. It's his robot mode that changes quite a bit throughout the movie. So hopefully if we get another Studio Series Megatron, or more appropriately a Studio Series D16 that transforms, which will require some remolding, the head will have to be a little bit different. The shoulders will definitely have to be different. The chest will have to change just a little bit. The legs, not so much, actually. The backpack won't really have to change. This muzzle won't really have to change, and neither will this fusion cannon, because while he's D16, he has this particular fusion cannon. So that doesn't really need to change either, and they can keep these on there. I can't remember if he actually has these before or after, not, but they're removable, and this part's pretty accurate consistently throughout the movie. And for comparison in alt mode, here is Megatron next to Optimus Prime from Transformers 1, so you can see them side by side. And just like in their robot modes, their alt mode comparisons are very comparable to each other. And seeing Megatron and Optimus so far, with B-127 and Alita 1 coming out as also deluxes on the horizon, and I imagine to be slightly shorter than these two as they are in the film, and with the upcoming Sentinel Prime being a Voyager class, being a bit larger than these two in the film, I'm hoping that when we get around to Studio Series Alpha Trion and maybe some of the other 13 Primes, and fingers crossed on those especially, that those guys come out as leader class, because they are a good bit taller than Megatron and Optimus in the film. I'd say these guys are about 60-65% the height of the original 13 Primes as they stand to them in the movie. So really cool. So far the scaling is really good. Granted, we only have 2 figures so far in Studio Series, but it's really good. And also for comparison, here he is next to the Studio Series Bumblebee concept movie Megatron. And it's really interesting to see these two in particular side by side, especially with his more G1-ish and angular design versus his kind of more hybridized G1 and Bay design from the Bumblebee movie. Despite not having quite the correct fusion cannon, this is a pretty cool take on Megatron, and I really liked the new design, not just of Megatron, quote unquote, but the D16 body design. In fact, I actually like the head of when he's D16 more than I like the head of when he becomes Megatron moments later. And I really like the tank mode. It's really kind of neat to see it all elongated, and especially with how the legs convert and become so much of the front of the tank. I really, really like that about this figure. So again, overall, really cool design. Definitely looking forward to more. Hopefully we have a Studio Series Orion Pax coming, as well as a Studio Series D16, because I want to see the slightly different versions of these characters from before they became Optimus and Megatron, respectively, where Orion will have hopefully just the face sculpt without the armored faceplate, and where Megatron will have the altered shoulders and the Megatronus sticker perhaps on his left shoulder, and the more D16 looking head where he's got the black helmet based off of the original comics and original cartoon toy commercial appearances of Megatron in '84. Stay tuned for more Transformers reviews. Like and subscribe, and follow us on social media, and check out some of the other content that we do here on CoolToyReview.com. You can do that by checking the website daily, as well as there's all kinds of new toy news, reviews, and more on CoolToyReview.com all the time. But also be sure to check out our sister website, RebelScum.com, for all kinds of awesome Star Wars toy news, reviews, and more. And feel free to sign up for a free account on CollectorsOracle.com, where you can catalog all kinds of different toys and collectibles in your collection absolutely free. We don't have Transformers on there yet, but we are in negotiations to perhaps maybe add them in the future, so stay tuned for more news on CollectorsOracle.com as well. We'll see you guys later. We'll see you another time. Transform and roll out.